Hello everyone, and welcome. Sorry about the delay there. I know we're almost 10 minutes behind. I do apologise. We've had a few teething problems, just trying to sort our guests out. They probably can't see me now, but just to let Devlin know I can see you, so that's great. You're in the holding room, so you should be good to go when I bring you in, or when Jas brings you in. But again, yeah, apologies. We've never really had it before, and it's just been one of those weeks. We've had a couple of guests of ours not able to get their kits today. Pastor Force have been a bit of a nightmare, which we hate. So massive apologies to the one lady we spoke to today. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. And we hate it to happen because it looks bad on us, even though I guess it's the fault of Pastor Force. We have to reflect it on us as well. But welcome everyone. As you're coming in, if you can just obviously just comment and stuff. I know we've got two streams posting today. So the reason we've done that is because sometimes we have people that don't have Facebook, or they vice versa, don't have YouTube. What I would say is if you can and you can get access to Facebook, I would probably say the best place to watch the stream is on there. And then that way, at least there's more people commenting on the same stream altogether. And then that way you can all mingle and chat amongst each other with your tasting notes and what nose notes you're guessing and what taste palettes. What else is there to mention? Obviously there was today, obviously you can't get away from it, it's Black Friday, and like I put on a lot of our posts, we've, as a small independent, we never really get into Black Friday, but we thought we would do something this year because it's just one of those strange years. Everything's very different. So we did do an email this morning with a code which is 10% off the whole our range of our gins, which is Black Friday 10. And then we've got a few bottles left of our winter festive gin, which is the spiced pumpkin pie. So we've got 15% off that. And we also, again, sort of released a couple of new products today onto the website. One of which is something that we've been working on for Tomoka, which is a cocktail starter pack. So it's a nice presented gift tube branded with Tomoka, and actually in there is a complete cocktail kit so that someone can reuse that at home, and also the ingredients for the first few cocktails. You've got a few options you can pick from, so you can pick a martini set, a Manhattan set, I think there's an old-fashioned set and a Negroni set. Which Jas was very happy about because it's one of his favourite cocktails. And so those are available to buy. Really, really good, simple Christmas gift. Take it, wrap it up, give it, done. Perfect gift for anyone that's bored at home, nothing to do, which looks like it's going to go on for a while. And then we've also released through sort of Poppycock, we did that event back in June, the Swinging Cocktails. We've repackaged that together to be a simple sort of package to buy to do a family Zoom party together, any staff parties. So I know Christmas parties this year are going to be a bit kind of non-existent because everyone's working from home. This kit's perfect for that. You get 6 cocktails to make, or you can buy a couple set, which makes you 12 cocktails. So there's plenty of alcohol to get drunk on. And then you would have your own private Zoom. It's again done in such a way where it's themed, so you can choose whether or not to do dress up. You've got the 1920s playlist that will come with it. All the drinks are Prohibition themed as well, and they stagger in difficulty from stirring glass to shake. And again, in that kit, you get the full cocktail equipment, the guide, the playlist. And you also have a link to a 15-minute intro from me that will talk you through the cocktail equipment and your basic ingredients like your lime, sugar, to obviously get you going. But it's something that you can do in your own time. You can buy it in singles, doubles, or group of 10. Or in more than that. If it's more of a corporate thing, then you can contact us separately to book that in. Other than that, that's it for tastings this year until January. We have decided we're doing a New Year's Eve one because we know New Year's Eve is going to be a bit of a bust for everyone. So we are going to put together a New Year's Eve tasting, which would be fantastic. And we'll release that hopefully over the next week or so. We've got a lot on, so I'm going to try and get that some point in the week out to everyone. But other than that, we're about to get going. Just one thing to point out. Now we've got your larger pouch here. This is a mulled wine mix that I've made up, and I can run over that, but I'll prefer to bring in Jas first, and we can get going on the first gin, and then I can run through how I've made the actual mulled mix that I've used. But if you want to take a mug, I've got a nice Friends mug here. just put you can put the whole amount in the glass, and preferably nuke it in the microwave. I would say 20 to 30 seconds. It depends on the power of your microwave. Mine's about 30 seconds. It should heat it nicely, and then have that ready for the first gin, because we're going to be adding some of that to the mulled wine to make it taste extra special. So without further ado, I will bring in Jas, and we can get going. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Jas. You hear me?
Hey, yeah, I see you now.
Very blank.
Yeah, no, I see you now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looks like everyone's in. I haven't actually, I haven't gone around and checked. So what I'll do is I'll back out, let you do a quick intro. I'll heat my mulled wine up, and I'll just check YouTube and Facebook and make sure everyone's on. And then Devlin's in the back ready. So as soon as I can hear you introduce him, I'll bring him in.
Cool. All right. Hey everyone. As Shane said, this is probably our last tasting before New Year's Eve. So we thought we'd do a step into Christmas with a weekend of Christmas tastings. So tonight is Sloe Gin, and then tomorrow we've got a liqueur tasting, our very best liqueurs, or liqueurs that we think have a Christmas feel. And so we're going to try them tomorrow. But tonight is all about Sloe Gin, and we have got 4 really good Sloe Gins to try tonight. Hey Vicky, hey Georgina, and we thought we'd bring you a selection that not only was really different. You know, gin has this sort of, Sloe Gin in particular has this sort of cloying, kind of really sort of syrupy style. And so we thought we'd bring you 4 different gins that can just show you how diverse the category can be, and also then 4 different ways to serve them, because a lot of people kind of get stuck in how they should drink their Sloe Gin, and that puts them off buying it. And it's just really good. It's a really good drink if you understand what to do with it. So there is many things that you can do with it, and some of our guests will talk about them as we go through. But we've just got 4 different ways that you can do it tonight. Just before I bring our first gin guest in, as Shane said, get your mulled wine ready. Get it nuked in the microwave so it's nice and hot, and add about 20 ml, 15 ml of pouch number 1 into it. Obviously, we want to hold some of pouch number 1 back because we're going to try it neat. But to start with, while I'm going to waffle on for a few minutes, just have something in your hand to drink, and we can work it out as we go along. So just I've got mine here, by the way. I've got mine hot. I'll tell you what, it smells really good. Our mulled wine is infamous, and you're about to experience some very Christmassy flavors. But while we do that, I will tell you about Sloe Gin. So Sloe Gin has kind of got this dirty past. It doesn't really, it's not as elegant as gin. It hasn't got the same sort of kudos as gin. And really, throughout its history, it's sort of had this sort of murky past. For a while in London, a lot of the poorer Londoners used to drink it as a port, a poor man's port, because they couldn't afford the real thing, and this was like something that they could pass as port. And it really came about because when Parliament basically wanted to get rid of common land and all the peasants that were living on common land, so they started selling parcels off to the wealthier people, and to sort of divide and distinguish those boundaries, the quickest thing or the best thing they could do was plant hedgerow, blackthorn bushes and hawthorn bushes. And they're prickly, very robust, very hardy, and they would divide the land of who owns what piece of land. And obviously these bushes, the blackthorn bush in particular, grew these sloe berries. It's very tart berry, quite bitter, and you had this sort of very unpalatable gin at the time as well. And so what they would do, they would mix the berries into the gin, add a bit of sugar, and they had something that they could drink, in the winter time. And really, it has become a Christmas drink, partly because sloes grow at a certain time of year. You then pick them, you macerate and steep the berries into the gin, and then several months later you've got sloe gin. So it kind of just fits in and ties in with Christmas. So that's a little brief history of gin. I'm sure we'll cover more of that as we go along. And so yeah, what we should do, I hope you're all enjoying the sloe gin. Let us know if you are liking the mulled wine with the Whitley Neal Sloe Gin pouch number 1. I should try mine actually. Oh, that's good. That's good. So Shane, can we bring in Dev, please? Hey, Dev, how are you?
Jazz, what's happening? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Friday night, eh?
Friday
in
night.
lockdown,
And
you know?
yes, that's it. Lockdown Friday. So everyone, this is Dev. He is the brand ambassador for Whitley Neal. And Whitley Neal is one of those brands. It's one of those brands that you find it in the supermarkets, and they've sort of really cornered the flavored market, right? You do these amazing flavors. And my wife, one of her favorites is the rhubarb and ginger, so we always have a bottle of rhubarb and ginger in the house. Not that she drinks a lot.
It's a winter and all year round must, huh? That's why.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. But I should say, so we are the first ones to have this sloe gin, right?
Yeah. So listen, Jazz, everyone that's here today, they have the first bottles as the brand ambassador. That's what I've got.
So you haven't even got a branded bottle.
I don't even have a branded bottle of the stuff, and you've got it before me, so I'm a bit distraught. So thanks, Tara. Yeah.
Well, thanks for making sure we got one.
Yeah, all good.
So that's it. So classic Whitley Neal bottle, but you can see the reason why we decided to take it on when it was sort of recommended to us was because you've got only like 3,000 bottles, right?
Close on that.
So,
so obviously, just from our side, Jess, thanks so much for having us here tonight, and obviously thank you to Tara, who obviously is watching. So the Whitley Neal Sloe was a bit of a long time coming. I think being a South African, which you can hear, Sloe Gin is something that doesn't exist back home, as well as in obviously different climate markets. So it's very much a European, British kind of thing. Sloe season is something that's not really replicated anywhere else in the world. It's very unique. It's very British. It's very UK. And I love it. Obviously, this morning waking up, I think someone left the freezer open this morning in the UK, to be honest. It was absolutely freezing. So yeah, from our side, I mean, sloe is a very interesting topic. I think from our side as a brand, Whitley Neal is now the #1 premium gin in the UK. It has been for the last 18 months, and that is your favorite there, the rhubarb and ginger. And that's primarily focused on the flavor innovation that we've created from our range, from the original bottle. Everyone will know the Whitley Neal original that Johnny Neal created in 2012. But I think the flavors have opened up a new demographic, a new market. Sloe Gin in particular, it's a different style of consumer. We talk about our bottles as personalities. So if you look at Sloe Gin, it's a personality of consumer. It's the way someone drinks something at a time of year, with the environment, the people they're with. When you think of winter in the UK, you think of those mulled wines, the hot toddies, the drinks that particularly were not really synonymous with where I grew up. So that's why coming across to the UK, very very different. Getting introduced to the slow culture. And Sloe Gin. So that's why for me, Whitley Neal Sloe Gin has been a journey for us. I think very unique in its space as well. It's not a flavor profile; it's actually a macerated flavor. So it's traditional blackthorn berries added into the process. And obviously, my first time tasting blackthorn berries, Jazz, I was quite shocked at how bitter and so I thought blackthorn berries were quite sweet, a little bit more less tart than kind of what I expected. More of like a blackberry, kind of like the stone fruit kind of profile. That cherry blackberry on the palate. So my first time doing it, and this year, actually last year, sorry, was when your sloe berries actually crack, or the skin cracks. It's the start of autumn, kind of in the UK, and that's when the best time is to add those to your gin, to obviously get that liqueur profile out. So it was a new process for me. It's something I was not accustomed to. So for us, for Whitley Neal, it's a new adventure. Getting into the space, creating a more seasonal profile, winter style drinks. I think, as I said to you, Sloe Gins, very UK centric, European centric product. And for me, being a bit of a classical cocktail man, it's very much vermouth in its profile. So I think what Sloe Gin does for the category is it provides a substitute for classics, which I think all the bartenders that are probably on here and people that understand drinks, something like a Sloe Negroni, stuff like, the common classics, the Spugliato, so great with champagne. So I just, Sloe Gin for me, as soon as I tasted that, all of a sudden I was like, there's an absolute minefield of cocktails and drinks that you can do with a product that tastes as delicious as 28% ABV, rich stone fruit gin.
Yeah. So in terms of so we should actually go for a little taste, right? And a little nose. And
so I'm a bit upset that you got the bottle before me. I think my company's slacking a little bit. To be honest, it's quite funny.
What?
So yeah, we have, as you said, 3,000 cases produced. It's definitely a limited edition. So obviously everyone here tonight is going to be tasting something that unfortunately won't be replicated again for the rest of the trade until next year. So it's a unique profile. I think you can all see in terms of the profile, Jazz. I think the color on that, that beautiful deep sherried kind of profile that's on there, that's what you look out for a Sloe Gin. I think a lot of people, and something that I learned as well, Sloe Gin has to, drop the ABV down. It almost comes to that liqueur category. I mean, we talk about gin. What is gin? A London Dry has to be 51% ABV. It's got to be boiled in one process. But a gin is anything above 37.5% ABV. And that is 28% normally. Sloe Gins, depending on what brand you've got. And for us, it's a very interesting category. For me, that's a gin liqueur. But it's a natural gin liqueur. And obviously, it's a very synonymous thing with the UK. So if you just pour that into the glass, in terms of the tasting for that, definitely on the nose, I think for that. So in the core base of that, guys, and what you are getting in that is our core original Whitley Neal. What we're doing is we're taking out the African botanicals. We take out baobab, Cape gooseberry, but we still keep in juniper, coriander, angelica root, orris roots. I think angelica root, Jazz, that people don't know, that's the base of wild celery. Orris root's the base of wild iris flower. We have a lot of orange. I think you'll pick up a lot of orange notes in that as well, like very strong orange, very Mediterranean. So it's actually Sicilian blood orange that is in there, dried. A little bit of slight, I would say, sweet lemon peel as well from the Mediterranean, as well as cassia bark. So everyone knows about cassia bark and cinnamon. Same family, different tree from Sri Lanka. Very much a Christmas. When I think of it, when I smell that, it's it's Christmas in a glass. Desserts, very much we call it ginstronomy in our thing. So food pairings, delicious treats, mince pies, a lot of cheeses with deep jams, blackberry jams, sloe jams as well too. So for us, I think in terms of the nose, ripe autumn blackthorn berries.
I'm getting that cinnamon. That cinnamon really comes through.
Cassia bark as well through that. And then I think interesting, Jazz. We do a lot of research, obviously into trends coming, and we're seeing that next year we've got a huge trend coming of stone fruit into products. I think you're seeing a lot of mango, you're seeing a lot of cherry, you're seeing a lot of apricots, mangoes. As I said to you, now papaya. I think a lot of like deep stone fruits and sherried fruits are coming through, as well as Asian style fruits as well for the Olympics, I guess, next year. So Sloe Gin is definitely something that's kind of surfacing in terms of a global market. A lot of people are asking about it, inquiring about it in terms of their flavor profile, and it's great for cocktails. Again, it substitutes for a very good vermouth. So
let's go for a little taste.
It's a very punchy vermouth. That's what I get. Beautiful. So
much flavour.
So Jazz, I think so. Just to let everyone know, there's two kinds of Sloe Gin as well. I think it's a good question to ask as well, and consumers shouldn't be scared to ask this as well. But we have fresh sloe berries that are steeped for 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 months, not weeks.
Yeah.
Incorrectly. 6 to 8 months, depending on the batch. For our brand, we used to have another brand called City of London, which did it for 8 months. Our Whitley Neal Gin brand does it for 6 months. We are testing out a recipe at 7 months too. But again, between 6 to 8 months is kind of like our threshold on flavor profile. It drops the ABV enough to 28%. It brings out the flavor profiles that we need. It's natural. Obviously, the sugar that is added to that brings out and balances that bitterness of the blackthorn berries. But again, for us, we want that that flavor profile. I guess it obviously delivers that punch of kind of that autumn winter. In your mouth, kind of chewy red berry fruitiness of stone fruit, plum, black cherry. Black cherry is a big thing for us in terms of that profile we wanted to bring out. And again, just the essence of cassia bark. Johnny, one of Johnny's favorite botanicals. Which obviously comes prominent in our original Whitley Neal bottle, the original black bottle.
Yeah, I mean, look, we chose to pair it today or add it today to a mulled wine as a way to showcase some of its flavor.
Yeah,
it works really neat. But you've got some great ideas that are really simple that people can do at home with this particular Sloe Gin. Do you just want to tell people what kind of things they can do?
I think one of our biggest pieces, Jazz, so what we did and what I think a contribution to our success as a brand is that we don't look at gin as a category of gin and tonic. We look at a category of gin as what do consumers like. We found that places like Russia, America, and Australia in particular, they don't like tonic. So if soda is their preference, or lemonade's their preference, or ginger ale, ginger beer, or prosecco, for example, or champagne is their preference, we tailor make our brand to that, kind of that flavor profile. So for us, Whitley Neal as a brand is very versatile. So with regards to the products, Gin Secco was something we created last year, which has created quite a big hit in Dubai and Australia, as well as the brunch culture here in the UK over summer. We did quite a lot of work on the spritz serve. So for me, as a consumer, quite simple. Lemonade works brilliantly. If you guys want your perfect serve with our Whitley Neal, you don't have to look further than Fever Tree Sicilian lemonade, or a really good, even Fentimans does a great one. Double Dutch does some decent lemonade as well. Have a look for a really good profile lemonade. It's something that isn't too much sugar based. Have a look at your sugar content in the back of your lemonades. If it's a good premium lemonade, it works brilliantly with Sloe Gin. Too much sugar in that obviously kind of pulls away the flavor. Lemon and obviously lemonade or bitter lemon with Sloe Gin is a match made in heaven. I actually enjoy soda. I'm a big fan of soda. So obviously we all know about the Americano, where everything all started with the Negroni. So I'm a huge fan of Sloe Gin and soda with a nice slice of orange as an aperitivo. Also a very good session drink. But I think for festive season, my suggestions, a little bit of Prosecco. It's a 2010, very simple, 20 ml of the Whitley Neal Sloe, 10 ml of fresh squeezed lemon juice, topped up with Prosecco, and a good cherry garnish, or drop a cherry into that. And I think, as I want to say, kind of like a Christmas or, kind of celebratory drink for a year that's been very indifferent for a lot of people. I think it's a good way to end the year. And, the Gin Secco Sloe combination is just, it's a match made in heaven in that flavor profile.
That sounds like a good Christmas Eve drink just before you get ready for Christmas Day. That sounds like a nice one. Yeah, love it.
2021 knocks on your door 5 days later with that hangover.
Amazing. Yeah, that's great. That's really good. So so this is obviously available now.
So we've just come out of 3,000 cases. We'll communicate. We do have an online platform called the Drop Store, and obviously with your store as well. So unfortunately, it is a limited edition product. So obviously, depending on how much stock you guys have, Tara will obviously communicate that to the rest of the team. And obviously, I think getting it through you guys is going to be, you guys are exclusive for the product. You have the bottle before me, which is amazing.
We always try to do
I've got the liquid. I've got the liquid, but I don't have the bottle. So very impressive.
Well, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, so I think, I think obviously over season it's the same price as all the other Whitley Neals.
Yeah.
We're going to be delivering that at the same price point. So, if you guys are looking for a great option for Christmas gifting, I think we can obviously work on that. And as I said to you, Jazz, like obviously a lot of variation in terms of serves with regards to doing that.
Absolutely, and also anyone here tonight will get a 15% discount as part of the tasting. So as Dev said, it's not available in the supermarkets. It's really exclusive to independent retailers and smaller kind of stores like ours. So we're very grateful for that. Also, I just want to touch on one other product that we are also getting,
Yes,
and it's not out yet. And I don't know. We Tara said that there's not a bottle because they're rebranding the bottle, but I just want you to tell people about that as well.
So I don't know how many people are on this call here today, but they're about to hear the news before the rest of my company hears it, to be honest. So Whitley Neal Gin, the original and the full flavor range, will now be distilled in the heart of London as of 2021, or actually it started today. We've just signed off the new liquid. So City of London Distillery in Bride Lane, opposite St Paul's Cathedral, will be the home of Whitley Neal. It is our distillery. We own it. The liquid is exactly how it has been before, but we are now bringing everything to the home of London. And we have created a unique expression for everyone, and will be available before Christmas, obviously through you guys, Jazz. The Connoisseur's Cut, and an award-winning recipe. We obviously it's a secret recipe that won't be disclosed, but the Connoisseur's Cut is a high ABV, and it obviously speaks to that consumer that just really enjoys the martinis, the gimlets, gin on the rocks with a fresh twist of lime, no frills, no garnish, and obviously no mix. It's a neat sipping gin. It's definitely for that high end society, the Monkey 47 consumer, the Sipsmith consumer, Marylebone aged barrel consumer. And for us, the Connoisseur's Cut's just a step above, and obviously an exclusive and an element for us to elevate our brand with consumers going forward.
I tried. It's 47%, is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit stronger. It's 47%. Obviously, again, 43. I think, Jazz, I don't think you guys, a lot of people might not know this, but the reason why Whitley Neal is at 43 is actually because of South Africa and Ireland, the top two markets in the world for ABV threshold. So the only markets in the world that alcohol has to be at 43% to be allowed to be a spirit in our country. So, I mean, we're not alcoholics, but it's quite a high, obviously as a threshold, 43% as a base spirit, whereas 37.5 is your threshold in the UK. So that's why it's at 43. 47 is just, again, we believe, through distilling, I think a lot of us on here probably have distilled or have been involved in distilling. I think, a higher ABV brings a higher amount of flavor, especially through the botanical process. There's less water added, there's less dilution. So, ironically and obviously, intuitively, it'll have better flavor profile. And I'm a bit more of a sipping gin connoisseur. So for me, at 47% on the rocks, fresh citrus, Connoisseur's Cut, that's the way it's meant to be consumed. Just to elevate the brand.
I did try some, and I can tell, as a martini, for anyone that loves a martini, and we've done a few demos on martinis in the past, it is a fantastic option for a martini. So again, that is one that is going to be available through us and other smaller independents. It won't be in the supermarket. So we're really glad that we can work with you guys on this one and the Connoisseurs. So we're looking forward to getting that in.
So I mean, even from our side, ironically, actually, I signed off the liquid probably about 3 days ago. Well, actually, I lied. So it was about a week ago, and then the bottle, we've just signed off the bottle 3 days ago. We went through another change on that, but we've been trying to do a Connoisseur's Cut for quite a while. It's quite a tough conversation. Connoisseur's Cuts, I think, are very niche. They've got to stand out. They've got to be different. They've got to break category. They've got to really speak to that that top end of consumer that is really looking for something a bit different. So for us, we've won 10 gold awards in the last 3 years at our City of London distillery.
Wow, amazing.
We've got two amazing guys out there, and I think Whitley Neal taking its home there from Birmingham back down to London. We've been looking. We actually bought a premises last year, which unfortunately didn't end up happening because of COVID. So I think going through that, we've got some of the best distillers in the UK. I think we actually are the only distillery within Zone 1 of
Oh,
London.
really? Okay.
So, you look at the brands of, the top brands, which are amazing gins. Everyone knows that. Bombay is made in Haverstock. Tanqueray is made in Scotland. Beefeaters, obviously, made just outside of London.
Yeah.
Gordon's as well. So if you look at the top brands globally that everyone knows is London Dry, there's actually no gins that are made in the city of London as the, kind of like owning that entire, the square mile of London effectively.
Yeah.
So for us, it's going to be a massive piece for 2021. I'm glad to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a very commercial piece that will happen next year. We've just spent £1.4 million on a above the line campaign going into Tesco and Asda, billboards, in terms of our adverts. And I think everyone would have seen our taxis too. We've got 250 cabs running around the first 6 zones of London currently until next year.
Okay.
We're really going aggressively with the brand. Obviously, with the UK's number one, we've got to maintain that, and obviously be creative in terms of how we attack the market and in terms of our variations of bottles. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, look, Dev, thank you for joining us this evening. Thanks for showcasing the Whitley Neal Sloe, which is brand new to market and available for us here and probably other online stores as well, I'm sure, at some point.
I, at the moment, no. It's
no. Okay. Cool. Okay, cool. So there you go. So look, Dev, thank you very much. Cheers to you. Have a great Christmas. Tara as well, who's watching from home. Thank you for putting all this together for us. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you, Jazz. Thank you very much, everyone watching. I think, just from my side, I think, we've obviously grown exponentially in the last couple of years. So doing these like niche cuts and unique expressions, it's very close to us as a brand, and I think it obviously keeps us in line with what everyone else is doing. And we love keeping in touch with common trends and obviously what's going on internationally and keeping ahead of the game. Innovation, heritage, that's our game. Yeah.
There is one quick question. Glyn Jagger is asking, what about the City of London gin?
Yes. So, City of London's still happening. It's actually going through a rebranding process. We are now positioning the brand against our rival Tanqueray. In terms of price point, City of London's always been a prestigious gin. Jazz, if you didn't know, last year it won the best London Dry in the UK and the best martini. So it's got one of the best London Dry recipes. So as I said to you and everyone else, it's won 10 gold awards in the last 2 years, the distillery. So Guy, as well as Jonathan Drake, and a couple other guys, we've got a very unique group of guys that are contributing immensely to the global gin framework. So for us, City of London is always going to be a brand that's close to our hearts and obviously sticking into our UK threshold. But we're repositioning the brand, and City of London is now becoming a competitor at the London Dry pouring level. And Whitley Neal is now moving into City of London as a gin and the home of gin. Whereas before we actually used to produce it outside of London. In terms of that authenticity, I think going forward, everyone wants transparency of liquid, transparency of ingredients, and they want to know where it's from. So being able to bring, as well as you and everyone else on this call, down to our distillery, making your own bottle of gin, it takes an hour and a half. We'll be able to make your own Whitley Neal, take you through the whole process. You'll meet Johnny Neal as well. And it's an amazing product. We're in 101 countries now, Jazz. The distribution of the brand was quite scary. 50,000 cases in 2015 to 1.3 million now. So as a company to hit the 1 million case mark, it's a bit of a journey that's a bit scary. 1.3 million cases is quite a big number. We twice the size of Hendrix currently at the moment, which is our competitor in the UK market. But that's, as a brand, we want to be the number one premium flavored gin in the world. And that's our goal for 2022. And I think we're going to be there. I think the way we're going at the moment and the way we're attacking the market, I think we have a huge point of difference, and having a home in the City of London is going to be a huge base for us to work from going forward.
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you for talking to us tonight. I think everyone's loved the gin. There's been some great comments, so we look forward to ordering some more very, very, very soon.
Amazing, Jazz. So look forward to it. Anytime anyone wants to, again, you said you have your sessions coming up. Very happy to be involved. And again, if anyone wants to come down to the distillery, also happy to organize all of that through you guys, Jazz. yeah, we can obviously work on something like that. The gin experience is something that when COVID finally decides to leave our world and 2021 comes around, very happy to showcase and obviously entertain everyone down there going
Brilliant.
forward.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Nice one. Take care, Deb.
Okay.
We'll see
Awesome.
you soon. All
Thanks
right.
very much. Thanks, Jazz.
Cheers. So moving on, that was number two. Pouch number two is this really different style of gin, and it's one of my favorite distilleries, Pickering's. We've done many Pickering tastings, so you kind of all know the story, but we'll talk today about this particular gin. So let's bring on Jenny, who's joining us representing the brand. Hey Jenny, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yes, very good, very good. So obviously, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I think so. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, a little bit delay, but that's fine. We'll get around it.
We'll get around it.
Yeah. So look, I've got the bottle here, Pickering's.
Wonderful.
Guys, it's pouch number two.
Fantastic.
So yeah,
have a taste of it now. Go for it. Before we start talking, just fill up your glass, have a little smell. I've got mine already. I was very jealous I didn't have any of the mulled wine with the Whitley Neal Sloe Gin, because out of everybody, unless anyone else is joining from Scotland, I'm on the east coast of Scotland, so I could be the coldest person here.
Yeah. So tell us about the gin. So obviously we'll come to the nose and the flavour in a moment, and people will notice it's very different. But yeah, tell us about the gin first.
Yeah, so to get into how we came to this Sloe Gin, it does kind of make sense to go over the brand and the gins that we make. So you said that you've done Pickering's gin before. From a complete newbie's point of view, with Pickering's gin, it's all made in Summerhall Distillery in Edinburgh. Now, it's in a distillery in what used to be the old Royal Dick Veterinary College for the University of Edinburgh. So it used to be a vet school until 2011, and it was then bought over and made into an arts venue. Our bosses are two gentlemen named Matt Gamble and Marcus Pickering, hence the name. They were actually builders by trade, best friends, gin lovers, if you can believe it, making all the gins we make. And they saw an opportunity in the old Dick Vet School to turn the cat and dog kennels into a gin distillery. And 7 years on, we still make all of our gin in these old cat and dog kennels. Don't worry, it's all very safe, and it's all been turned into a fully functioning distillery. We have two stills, Emily and Gertrude, named after Matt and Marcus's great-grandmothers. Because if you were to come to the distillery, you'd see that these stills are quite short and fat, and they're always filled with gin. So that's the reason that we got their names on the stills. And Matt and Marcus, basically, no gin making experience whatsoever, both loved a gin, and they decided it would be a good, fun hobby, basically, to start making some gin. Now, they then took this distillery. They didn't have a recipe to begin with, which is obviously very important for making a gin. And one of Marcus Pickering's late father's very good friends gifted Matt and Marcus with a recipe dated from the 17th of July, 1947, from a village called Mount Mary that was in the Bombay region of India. So this recipe from 1947 has now become the base recipe for all of our gins that we now make. So 2013, the gin market is taking off again. People are looking for small batch boutique gins. They needed something that was a little less spiced than what they made in Bombay at that time. So they modernized that recipe, tweaking it by having angelica root in there and accentuating the flavors of juniper, lemon, and lime. So it's juniper and citrus led, the classic gin, this one here. And then it's got cardamom, fennel, anise, cloves, and coriander. A few years into the business, they then go back and make the original 1947 gin, which is spiced with cinnamon. And then bring us up to date here so that I'm kind of coming back to the Sloe Gin. They took both of these gin recipes. So you've got the dryness and the juniper and citrus-led taste, and you've got the warmth and the spice of the cinnamon to create the base for the Sloe Gin.
Okay.
So I'm already noticing in the comments, you are absolutely bang on with the tasting notes that we put with this gin. It's like cherry bakewell. It's very much a dessert sloe gin, I would say. You're highlighting cherry bakewell, liquid bakewell. It's almost got the same kind of category as an amaretto. So it's got that almondy note that comes through. So we'd say it is cherry bakewell with that lovely zest of lemon that comes through with a slight aftertaste of vanilla sponge. So it is nice and deep and fruity and warming, deep cherry on the nose for sure. And then it leaves you with that nice warming feeling in your chest as it settles down there. So a bit of background of Pickering's. It's all based on this recipe from India from 1947 to give it a nice spiced note. And then we've come forward today to showcase our sloe gin. So that's what you're having today.
Yeah, and it's really good. So, and you're absolutely right. Everyone's picking out those, but I'm getting a lot of this almost star anise kind of. I'm getting this real spiciness as well.
Absolutely. So in taking both gins as the base, and then we took our sloe berries and let them steep into the mix of these two gins. The sloe berries, as was covered already, they are very tart, very highly concentrated. So it means that when you put them into the liquid, they do disperse really nicely and create that warmth. But because the sloe gin does have such a strong spice to it, the anise, the cardamom, the fennel, and the cinnamon, we did enhance a little bit just to really pull through those spice notes to complement that warmth you get from the berry. You wouldn't eat sloe berries. They are like sour, but they go into the gin really nicely and create that nice warmth.
Yeah.
A bit of a funny story as well, not just taking these two gins to create a base, but our founders, Matt and Marcus, still owners and still in the distillery every day making gin. We do have a general manager, Dave, who's been there since the start. He was left in charge when Matt and Marcus went on holiday. And the story goes that it makes more sense in the distillery, but you've got two big vats where the gin ends up. Somehow a pump got left open and the gins combined. So Dave was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Matt and Marcus are going to come back and I've put two gins together. I know, I'll make a sloe gin and that way they'll never know. And voila, they make the sloe gin recipe that we have today. So that's the reason for it.
Amazing.
A slight mistake. In fact, I do realize this is live on Facebook, and I do think Matt and Marcus know that, and I've not just dropped Dave in it. But yeah, that's a part of the reason for it as well. Tasty, but also a little knock to Pickering's and the way that we do things in the distillery as well.
Yeah, love it. So look, obviously everyone's tried it neat. We're going to add some ginger ale to it. We thought, just with that spiciness that's naturally part of the gin, that we would add ginger ale to it. So everyone's got a bottle of ginger ale. So I would say if you've got about 20 ml in the glass, pour about 40 ml of tonic just for the tasting purpose. So we just elevate the flavor a little bit.
Absolutely. Ginger is a great alternative to tonic because ginger does have that lovely, it's got a natural sweetness to it, but it does cut through something that's even sweeter. Tonic isn't for everyone, but I would say as an alternative, if you are looking to enjoy your sloe gin with a tonic, a lemon tonic, so Fever Tree does a lemon tonic, and just a citrusy note will cut through the sweetness as well. But ginger ale and a little sprig of mint on top, or some frozen berries. If you're at home, you want the drink to last a bit longer. The frozen berries will keep your drink a little bit cooler for longer. That's a great way to complement the ginger ale as well. So,
good shout. Although tonight we are using orange.
Orange, absolutely. Next thing I was going to say.
So everyone get your orange, and we're going to just cut the peel off. We're not going to use the flesh. We're just going to cut the peel and squeeze the oils into the drink. I think you all know by now what I like to do, but if you don't, I'll just quickly do a demo for you. So you get an orange over your glass and just squeeze it so the oils kind of shoot off into the glass, and then just drop that in. It kind of complements the ginger ale. Obviously, as Jenny said, there's other options. You can add the berries and so on. But it's just a nice Christmassy, it's an obvious Christmas flavor.
Absolutely. I loved from the previous chat talking about putting the gin in prosecco or champagne. So he mentioned gin secco. We like to call it process sloe, if you will.
Okay.
Has had a few different names: process sloe, a sloe royale, a few other names. It's a great one to have on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Personally, I'm getting the Prosecco open and putting the tree up next weekend, and I'll be popping a wee bit of Sloe Gin in as well at that time.
Yeah, love it.
It is warming. And when I joined Pickering's Gin, it was just before winter. Matt and Marcus are very much make Pickering's Gin. It is still a hobby to them, and obviously it's now they quit their day jobs and turned Pickering's Gin full time, and this is now business. But it's still a hobby to them in so many ways. I think they really made Sloe Gin because they love Sloe Gin and wanted to make one that really suited what they enjoyed. Yeah. So when I joined, Marcus was going skiing, and he actually had skiing poles that had an empty space in the middle, and he would put his Sloe Gin in his ski pole. So when he went up, he would then have a little sip of Sloe Gin on the way back down. Drink responsibly, but it does have that winter, that Christmassy, that warming note to it, that it does just give you a little hug in the chest and warms you up a little bit. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think the ginger ale with the orange just works so well, because you're not losing the essence of what Pickering's is, and you're just adding another dimension to it and just kind of lengthening the gin and taking away some of that sweetness, that kind of gets a little bit too much to wade through. So you just lengthen it. But yeah, let us know, guys, if you're loving it with the gin. Obviously, as Jenny said and Dev said, lemonade, bitter lemon is another great way to drink it.
Absolutely. From a mulled Sloe Gin side of things, we would certainly recommend the Pickerings with the hot cranberry juice, and a little bit of put your star anise, your cinnamon sticks, and we recommend orange in there as well. I noticed, I think it's somebody on the Tomaka on the comments there has said that they get the orange with the clove, for sure, because when you have spices like cinnamon and cloves, your natural reaction is to try and pair it up with orange. So there isn't any orange in the actual recipe, but your taste buds will go, right, I want to get some orange. So pop into that zest with the mulled Sloe Gin as well. Yeah. If we were able to have more people together at Christmas, or do it yourself, I very much recommend Sloe Gin with ginger ale and then make a punch. So pop it in a big bowl, lots of ice, and then use half ginger ale, half cranberry juice, or supermarkets do like cranberry and dark fruit mix. Pop that in and then decorate it with your different spices, a little bit of orange zest, and then some mint as well. Again, mint is great, like the ginger, to cut through the sweetness of Sloe Gin. Or if you want to have the lovely sweetness of the Sloe Gin, certainly, as you were saying earlier, I like to have a Sloe Gin with my cheese, kind of like a port, kind of along those lines. A nice Sloe Gin with your cheese board, if you can manage it after your Christmas meal. Your cheese board with the Sloe Gin on the side, that's a great way to enjoy it as well.
Beautiful. And were you saying this was the latest incarnation of the recipe? So there's been other.
There has, yes. So we've been going now for 7 years, and in that time, Sloe Gin has always been something that we've made. So we started off with the classic Pickerings. We do have a large portfolio of different gins. Sloe Gin is almost kind of like the first liqueur. But there's so many liqueurs now, in gin liqueurs and gin-based and juniper-based liqueurs. Sloe Gin was almost the first. And so we wanted to make a Sloe Gin. We started off by doing a slightly sweeter one in a 35 centilitre bottle. We then moved up to a 70 centilitre bottle, and that one was quite marzipan-y as well. But both just started with the classic Pickering's Gin underneath as the base. So then this one, we decided to go back to the original tasting recipe that they'd made back in 2014, to bring that cinnamon through, to bring it a little bit more of a dessert Sloe Gin, a little bit more on that amaretto side. So we have made a few. Every batch can be different. It depends on the sloe berries that you end up with. So obviously we've pointed out that it's got that cherry bakewell note. That's very much because when you have the Sloe Gin steeping into the sloe berries steeping into the gin, the stones have left over quite an almondy note. So it comes from the pip of the sloe berry, and that gives it that almond note. But the next batch of sloe berries that you use might not have that quality. So each batch of Sloe Gin that you get can be quite different when it's made in that way. This gin, same as Whitley Neal, actually aged for 6 months. We had the sloe berries sitting in there for 6 months. When it comes to bottling it, it's quite a sticky process. So it's not the distiller's favourite when it comes to popping it in the bottle. But obviously, we need to get it to you guys. So that's the hardship that we face, is to get a lovely Sloe Gin out for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, we have made a few, and each batch could be quite different.
Yeah, well, Helen's really liking it. It's really lovely. Glyn as well. I do prefer this recipe. There was a period in the middle where it was slightly more aromatic, I think, a little bit spicier, and then this, I think, now is just it's kind of just a good marriage between the two.
There was a previous one, I think what you're talking about is quite aromatic, that was also a bit thicker, because the sloe berries were left to steep in for a little bit longer, so it was it was almost more syrupy. So this one we left to steep in a little bit less time, just so it's more liqueur-y. You can put it in with different mixers and it's not going to kind of weigh down the flavor too much. But the one you're talking about could be that one that was just slightly thicker in the viscose of the liquid. This one's a little bit lighter and can be enjoyed on its own nicely as well. And it's 9% ABV. So if you are adding it to your Prosecco, champagne, other alcoholic beverages in the run up to the festive season, just, you know, be careful, because sometimes when you add 29% liquid to something else that's a bit bubbly, it can be quite a lot. So a little bit in your Prosecco, and as the previous speaker said, a little bit of lemon juice can also just balance out the sweetness of the Sloe Gin as well. So
yeah, lovely.
Just splash it in different Proseccos, different fizzes, add in other little flavors. A cinnamon syrup, it could be lovely if you do enjoy more of the spice notes. You can just have a bit of fun with it and see what suits your taste. For sure.
And I think that's kind of the point of what we're trying to do is just tell people, don't be afraid, right? It's a gin, it's there to be played with, it's got a real deep flavour, so use it in different ways. And we've had so many great suggestions tonight that unfortunately we're not going to be trying tonight, but you know, people can go and try.
So you can try it. The base, you're having this one with ginger ale just now. But as you can see, you could mix it up and put it in with the cranberry juice as well. I recommend it actually as an a Sloe Gin sours as well. So a little bit of lemon juice and your egg white that you can just shake up at home nice and easily. Serve over ice, and if you've got bitters, splash a little bit of bitters on top as well. So that's another cocktail idea. And yeah, as you say, it's just about experimenting with what you have at home already as well. I'm terrible for having bottles in the flat, if that makes sense. So if you can experiment a bit, I made a cinnamon syrup the other day just by getting the hob, getting some sugar, hot water, popping some cinnamon sticks, and just let them steep. Most people have cinnamon in if you enjoy baking, and other things. Honey, marmalades, jam. Some Sloe Gin with some plum sauce that you might have at Christmas time. Sloe berries come from the plum family, so again, a good combination. What else have we done? Cranberry sauce. You've all got that in the cupboards in December as well. A bit of cranberry when you make your punch. You can get fun at home and just try the different things you find in your cupboard. Sloe Gin, it's got such a strength to it. It's got such a character. You're not going to lose that rich warmth, whatever you pop on top to experiment with how you enjoy the drink. So
amazing.
And what I will say as well, I know obviously I'm north of the border at the moment, and we can't all move around at the moment. Bring on 2021. Our distillery is open for tours. So if you have enjoyed a wee taste and you want to see where it is all made, you can come up to Edinburgh, and you can come into the Royal Dick Vet School, now Summer Hall Arts venue, and you can see where all the gin's made. It's quite small. We are a small independent company. There's 13 of us in total that work at Pickering's. Still Matt and Marcus there as well, the owners, and we make all the gin in the two stills, Emily and Gertrude. And we do export to other countries around the world as well. But you will find a lot of our gins are here in the UK, dotted about. And one of the biggest things that people might know us for is our Pickering's gin baubles as well. Gin filled Christmas decorations. Yeah, I've not even got them this year because we're sold out of them. So no point in working for them. It's something that we've been kept very busy doing the Christmas baubles, but obviously focusing our attention on the bottles that we make as well. So that was an open invitation to everyone. Come up to Edinburgh. In fact, Jazz, have you been to the distillery before?
No, I haven't yet. No, I did come up to Edinburgh a couple of years ago, but I didn't make it there.
Have to come.
Yeah.
Welcomed in when we can all start moving around a bit more. You have to come and see where it's all made.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, definitely, and obviously everyone definitely try and book your tours as soon as you possibly can, as soon as we're allowed to anyway.
I know. Yeah. Please come see us.
yeah. Well, look, Jenny, thank you very much. Thanks for telling us all about Pickering's. Thanks for showcasing the gin with us as well.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. I hope everyone enjoys all their other Sloe Gins, and you've got enough of us this evening that you could get a bottle for every week of December and keep yourselves nice and warm and cozy.
Love it. Exactly. There you go. There you go. And you get 15% discount. What more?
And you get 15% discount. What more could you want? And you've got lots of different ideas that you could do, different cocktails every night using your Sloe Gin. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening. Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your tipple. And yeah, hopefully see you again soon.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Jenny. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks. Bye. So that was 2. That was the amazing Pickerings as well. We're moving on to pouch number 3 now, which is going to be one we've done before, but not for a while. So obviously we've got a lot of new people on this tasting. So hopefully it's not one you've had. This is Heppel. So back in the UK, up in Cumbria. So one of we chucked this one in because it's slightly different. This is Sloe and Hawthorn. So the Hawthorn has this real kind of peppery note to it. I know some of you will have had it, but it's definitely worth a try. So pouch number 3, we're going to go straight in and pour half of your pouch into the glass. You see it's kind of a little bit syrupy, but because of the Hawthorn in there, it just adds this extra kind of dimension to it, and it's 30% as well, so it's closer to a gin. Previously the other 2 were 29, I think. So let's give it a little go, and you can see again totally different to the other 2 that we've had previously. Heppel is obviously, as I said, up in Northumberland. Started in 2015 roughly, and what they do is really different to other gin companies because they use something called critical distillation, and it's a process. So they distill essentially 3 times. It's a process where they take the botanicals they want, and rather than put them into a still like Jenny was talking about, Gertrude and Emily, they actually put them into something called a rotavat, which spins the botanicals round at a certain temperature and it extracts the oils, and they take the oils and they distill it. And so what they're getting is kind of the purest character and flavor of each of the botanicals they want, and then with that distillate they then blend it to make the product. So it's very, very different, but essentially what they're trying to do is keep the actual flavors without overcooking or burning or losing what it is they're trying to capture. So let's go for a little nose. As you see, it's very different. You're getting lovely pine in there. They have a lot of Douglas fir in there, which is going to give you those lovely sort of piney notes, and it's less well, for me it's less marzipan, and it is definitely a little bit more peppery as well. Let's go for a little taste as well. Totally different to the other 2. You're still getting some of that cherry, but it's carrying this lovely spiciness. There's a pepperiness there. Yeah, Shane says, yeah, definitely more pine, spice. There is that strong cherry, which is, obviously going to be there with the Sloe. Smells of hedgerows, exactly. Yeah, because you kind of doubled up the amount of berries you got, the Hawthorn and you got the Sloe. So it does have that lovely sort of earthy, kind of woody, really sort of natural of the earth kind of smell. And it is really different, isn't it? For me, it's actually probably a tiny bit syrupy compared to the other 2, but still the flavor really works. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, we've given you a mixer from a company called Seckford. And it's a sage, and I haven't got one here, so I can't tell you. I think it's sage and raspberry. It's a mixer from Seckford, and it's one of the new ones that we're trying out. It's not actually a tonic, slightly different, and it comes around from the lady that actually created the brand. She loves drinking single malt whiskey, and when she goes out with her friends, she was basically drinking single malt whiskey at 40% plus. and her friends were drinking G&Ts, and she couldn't last the evening in the same way. So she started working up, creating this mixer that could work with dark spirits, rums, whiskies, and also then create something that works with gins as well. And so what we've given you is one of her bottles. I think it's the aromatic. It's got sage, it's got raspberry. And what I want you to do is put, say, 20 ml with your gin, or whatever your gin, however amount of sloe gin you have of the Heppel in your glass, add in about double the amount of that mixer. And you'll see how it just changes it again. It's completely different. It maintains some of that Christmassy flavor with the sage, and obviously you're still getting that lovely kind of that sloe, but then also there's this really obvious raspberry that comes through. And it's right there on the tip of your tongue, and it kind of just comes right in the middle, this raspberry, and it just adds this real fruitiness and this kind of summery sort of mixed in with all these winter flavors. But I think it works really well, and we tried it, and it just works. I think it's totally different to everything else, but I think it really works. Rich says this reminds me of Linkter's mead. Oh, like like this herbal, this medicinal. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, the sage is really strong. Yeah, it really comes through. But then the raspberry is also, I think, equally as strong, and it kind of just adds this nice sort of balance. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. My mix is a bit flat because I had it open for a couple of days, but hopefully yours is nice and it's lovely and fizzy and vibrant. So I might bring Shane in actually, because he can tell you about the mulled wine that he made at this point before we move on to our next one.
I am here.
Yeah, cool. So obviously we didn't get to talk to you about the mulled wine recipe. So do you just want to tell people?
Which I said to people I would do. Yeah. So the mulled wine, I mean, I think it's just a bonus because you're on the tasting, guys, because normally it's a secret recipe, which we're well known for in St. Albans. Our mulled wine, we do the main bar technically every year. This year's the first year we haven't been able to do it for the Christmas light turn on, which we were really upset about. Jas wasn't, because it was raining, so he was quite happy. But it's the mulled wine that we do is quite renowned. We've done it for years, and there's nothing too special to it. It's just that we make it completely homemade. You know, it's not a case of going to a supermarket and buying it. I did actually, kind of to contradict that, we have kind of cheated a little bit on this one. I'll explain in a bit. So when it comes to the actual mix itself, all we do is, if you just take a container, the first thing I start with is I put in a whole orange. And what I'll do is I'll start with the whole orange, and I'll get a load of cloves, and I'll stab the orange with it's probably about 20 to 30 cloves. Completely looks a bit like Pinhead out of that film. And then I'll cut it in half, put it in the bowl. Then I'll take a whole lemon, a whole lime, and I'll peel the peels off them, and I'll drop that into the bowl as well. Then I'll take some cinnamon sticks. Now, this is where I think we have a slight edge, and which most people don't. If you go to a supermarket and buy cinnamon sticks straight from Sainsbury's, Tesco's, whichever, you'll get like Schwartz. You'll get these cinnamon sticks that really don't have any flavour whatsoever. The trick is to go to an Indian shop on, for example, St. Albans, you've got Hatfield Road. London, you have all these little, tiny Indian shops parked around where you get proper spices, and they do bags of cinnamon bark, and there's a massive difference between the flavour you get out of that. So we use cinnamon bark. I put a good sort of 4 or 5 sticks in the bowl as well. Then I'll take star anise, and again I buy the star anise and I buy the cloves from the same Indian shops, because they're a lot more potent than what you get in supermarkets by a clear mile. I put those in the bowl as well. Then I will take literally half a spoon of honey. I'll put a dash of vanilla essence. And then what I'll do to that is I'll then add my sugar syrup. So I'll take like a cup full. So say I had a full cup here of sugar, granulated sugar, pour that in, and I'll take the same amount of water, add that in as well. So I wouldn't make the sugar syrup first and then add those ingredients. I'll make the sugar syrup over those ingredients so that when it's dissolving together, it's also taking all those flavors and spices and really making that mold mix as good as possible. And that's essentially it. Once that's dissolved and it's ready, that's your mold syrup ready to go. And then what I'll do is, I mean, normally what I would do is I would add that to normal red wine, and then you've got the choice of whichever red wines you want to pick from. What I did, just to kind of suit the massa market, because generally more people do go for slightly sweeter than they do for dry. So I actually used a pre-made mold wine as the wine that went with it to kind of really emphasize this particular flavor, especially with our mix. And then when I was making the batches, again, when I do these batches to send out, I'll tell you what I generally do, and you can make adjustments at your home. But I used 120 mils of my mold mix to a whole bottle of the red wine. And that generally is what I sent you guys. Maybe I might make that about 200 mils of mold mix if I was using a normal red wine, because you'll be making it a little bit too dry. But similarly, if you want it dry, then by all means, yeah, you can. I always say the same thing. You can always add, but you can't take away. So maybe start with 100 mils of your mold mix, add your bottle of wine in, and then you can, try it, see how you feel, and then you can adjust it accordingly, add a touch more mix. But you can get this stuff ready. The problem is when you make a mold mix, it really doesn't last that long. So you would make a batch ready maybe for Christmas Eve. It will last about 3 days, the actual sugar, the sugar mold mix. Then it will start to really kind of, doesn't really go off, but it starts to turn. And then, I would add it to red wine at the time of using it. And then that way you're not racing in your red wine. You can always make more mold mix. But that's it. That's essentially it. Nice and easy to do.
Anthony, we don't really specify any particular mulled wine. Like Shane said, normally we would just buy a wine, a nice sort of lightish wine it's not too tannins heavy, so it has this lightness that will carry the flavor of the mold syrup. But it doesn't really matter what mulled wine you choose. You can buy one from Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Asda or whatever their brand is. It really doesn't matter. But we normally like to use, as Shane said, a red wine. Just a red wine.
And most of the flavor comes from that mix that I've just told you about. So you don't have to spend too much on the red wine. Right? Obviously, don't go super cheap, but you don't need to go expensive either, because you are mixing it to make a mulled wine. And in the same, if you had all that ready, you can simply nuke it in the microwave. Whenever we've done ours, when we do ours in the market, we do tend to kind of treat people by adding something to it. So each year we change it around. We either add a touch of whiskey. We've used one called Flaming Pig, which was one of the best we've had, but they've stopped making it now, annoyingly. We've used bourbon, we've used rum, and of course we've used Sloe Gin. Sloe Gin tends to be the most popular, and actually the Pickering worked really well. We've done that in the past. Whitney will work really well today as well. I think the Whitney Neal, personally, although it tasted nice, I think because I'd used that mulled wine with it, it did, I think as someone said, it came out a bit too sweet. So maybe I'd use that if I was using a normal red wine. I think the Hep would work really well in this, actually.
I like the Sloe. I like the Sloe Whitley Neal with the wine.
I like the Sloe Gin, but I think with this mold mix, I think it's more because I've used that particular red wine, the mold wine, with it. I think it's made it too sweet. So I think if I'd used normal wine, I think it would have worked better with the Whitley Neal, personally.
Good. All right, so
do you just steep the fruit and spices in it? Yeah. So I don't heat it. I don't tend to heat it. I just use normal temperature water, the sugar, the granulated sugar with all those spices. I'll leave it overnight. That will give you enough infusion. And then what I do is I get a sieve and strain it out. So that way you've not got any bits in your leftover syrup. That's generally what I do, Anthony.
Good. So I guess we move on to batch number 4, the last one of the night.
Yes.
So this is Beckett's, for everyone that can see that. Beckett's comes with a really nice kind of square sort of heavy looking bottle.
I love that bottle.
So Beckett's was started by a guy called Neil Beckett in Kingston upon Thames. And and that's where he makes his gin. Kingston upon Thames was where the first king of England was crowned over 1,000 years ago, 1,100 years ago, and his name was King Athelstan, and so that's kind of where the name of Kingston upon Thames comes from. So he decided to make his traditional kind of what quintessentially English spirit to make than gin. So he actually uses juniper berries. So he was the first company to use English juniper berries, and he had to get an application and permission from the National Trust to be able to do that. And so a percentage of his bottle sales go back to plant juniper to make sure that he can maintain that, that he's giving back to what provides him the spirit. And then he gets sloe berries. So he used to pick them from around the area, but the supply was so low and everyone else started making it. So he now buys the sloes in. But if we go for a little taste and a little nose of it, is less, obviously the thing you notice is less spicy than some of the others that we've had tonight. And it's kind of going back to what we traditionally think of as a sloe, so nice and punchy on the fruit. Really good.
It's plummy and cherry rather than being too spicy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so you are going to get some of that marzipan and cherry notes that everyone was picking out earlier. And what he does, and the reason for that is sort of what Jenny touched on, is that you kind of crush the seed a little bit, the pip, and that gives you that lovely sort of marzipan almondy kind of oil, and that is what gives you that marzipan sort of flavor. There is a dryness there as well. It's like kind of real dry, but punchy on fruit as well. I really like it.
It's a nice mix. This is really good. I like this one.
And this was actually awarded best sloe gin. I think it was last year or year before at the Good Taste BBC Good Food Awards.
Oh wow!
So it's been recognised as being a really, really good sloe. And yet, unfortunately, Neil couldn't be with us tonight, but he sends his best, and he's very sad that he couldn't be here, but he sent us gin anyway, which is great. Anthony, very plummy. Yeah, it is plummy, and that's partly because something we mentioned last week, that sloe is part of the plum family, and so you're going to get that lovely fruitiness come through. And it is plummy. It is jammy and plummy, isn't it? It's that.
Yeah.
It is that. Percentage-wise, Al, this is 29, I think.
29. That's right. Yeah.
29,
I haven't put it on my scroll bar.
So what we're going to do with this, we thought we would just go with something simple because the gin is so fruity, because it is more of a classic sloe. We're going to introduce a mince pie. So hopefully you've all managed to get a mince pie. This is my favourite part of the evening. Shane, did you get a mince pie?
No.
Oh man, how did you not get a mince pie? So the idea.
I saw a post from Instagram running on gin. She's got a perfect setup with the mince pie, and I was like, oh no, I didn't get a mince pie.
Yeah, just eat this with a mince pie. It's that classic kind of. It's my Boxing Day. Plate of mince pies, a little bit of sloe gin, watch some crappy film that's on TV, and just sit there and do nothing.
Home Alone. Put Home Alone on, then you feel Christmassy.
That's it. Yeah, sloe gin. So this one with a mince pie kind of has that lovely fruitiness, that richness, brings some of that kind of spice in there as well. But it's Christmas all over. So really good. Oh yeah, the sprig of rosemary. The sprig of rosemary was actually meant to be for the Heppel, but because we started talking about the mulled wine, I forgot to tell you. So yeah, the sprig of rosemary. You still have some left, right? You still have some of your Hawthorn Heppel left. So add the rosemary to that, and the idea is that because we've got that raspberry and that sort of fruitier mixer. Even though the sage is obviously there, the rosemary just kind of brings back some of that Douglas fir, that piney sort of earthiness back in as well. But it works really well. It works really well, and that with loads of ice is phenomenal.
What about sloe gin and chocolate? I can definitely see it's the same way people say. I mean, I same as Jenny. I love sloe gin and cheese, a bit like a port. But I think dark chocolate and actually something maybe a bit more salty, I think would work really well.
Yeah, I think so. Really good chocolate, depending on the age of the port, and depending on the sort of the body of the port, you can either go with really dark chocolate or you can go with a nice milky chocolate, but something that has like a nice sea salt in there. So this with a milk sea salt chocolate. You know who's a blue wrapper chocolate maker? Who are they? They're in Waitrose everywhere.
Not Lindt, you mean?
Huh?
Not Lindt, you mean?
No.
The one that do the really thin packs.
Yeah, thin chocolate bar, blue wrapper,
yeah.
sea salt, milk chocolate. That will be perfect, I think, with a sloe gin, because you haven't got the depth of a heavier port.
Yeah. Chocolate meringue cake. That's down my route, definitely. The sweeter the better.
So yeah, we're doing this one with the mince pie. But as we said tonight, you could have, we've done the ginger ale, we've done a different type of mixer, lemonade, obviously, bitter lemon works really well. Prosecco. Something you could do with a sloe gin is freeze it, put it in the freezer, and then add it to ice cream. Again, a different way of serving it, works really well. Paul Green, this is perfect with a mince pie. Christmas is here. Love it. Yes, exactly. And that's what it's all about. It's just about trying to create different ways to drink something that you think is a one-dimensional spirit, but it's actually not. It's very versatile. And that's kind of what we wanted to show you tonight. So yeah, that's our sloe gin tasting, the first step into Christmas. And I think we'll end on Paul Green's comment there, because almost perfect. Shane, what we got tomorrow? We got our liqueur tasting tomorrow.
So tomorrow we've got the liqueur tasting. Just by the way, thank you to Joy for donating her set, because that cheered me up a bit that Tracy didn't miss out tonight. So that's amazing. Thank you very much for that. It's always gutting when you see that someone hasn't got their package due to parcel for. So that's fantastic. Yeah. Tomorrow is the premium liqueur tasting. Just continuing on from today, really. Like Paul just said, it's getting ready for Christmas. It's having these, sloe gins or liqueurs that will be great around the Christmas table, which is going to be very different for everyone this year. So just something that maybe just perk it up a little bit. So that's tomorrow. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we already have Black Friday today, which we've done an offer on. So normally what we do is with your tasting guide there, you get 15% off any of the gins from this evening. But you do also have the Black Friday deal that we've got on craft gins at the moment, which is 10% off all gins on site. We've got 15% off on the our Tomoka gin that we've made with Blackbridge as well, the spiced pumpkin pie, which is another great one to have around at Christmas time. I think the only product I didn't get on, which is my bad, is I didn't get the Whitley Neal on, which is very new. So anyone that does want the Whitley Neal, because it is quite exclusive and it's new to us, just send us a DM or an email, and we'll still get you 15% off that, and we can get that ordered in for you. So that's completely fine. Just a note there. Yes, Emma. Yeah, I delivered. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're welcome. Again, just made sure we got you the sets. That's good. And what else was there? So look out next week for an email. Me and Jas will finalise over the weekend. We are definitely going to do a New Year's Eve tasting. So spread the word to your friends and family. Anyone that's looking to do something New Year's Eve, it's a great way of getting everyone together, your friends as well, and we'll have a pack put together, which is going to include some champagne, some gin, and maybe a few other spirits. We've got to finalise it, but we are definitely doing something New Year's Eve. And anyone that knows anyone from, if you've got your own companies or people that have companies or your own boss, keep an eye out on our website as well for our cocktail party sets. We've done some starter kits that you can buy, which are great for gifts, and we've also got the Poppycock ready-made sort of staff party set as well. So it's something else that you can arrange your staff parties throughout Christmas virtually over Zoom. And you can do it in your own time. So those are available. So we're going to I think in terms of tasting wise going forward for New Year's Eve, I think we'll probably start mid-January. So we'll pitch something out maybe the last week of Christmas for a gin and a whiskey, maybe mid-Jan onwards, once we've got the private ones out of the way. We are literally inundated with private ones. And similarly, if you still need some kind of private tasting throughout December, let us know. We love the work, so keep us busy.
Yeah.
Donald's game with Ryan Reynolds. I tried messaging just a question mark the other day again on my emails, and they just. I think because he sold it, I don't think he cares anymore. He's got his millions. He's out. He's gone.
Donald's going to keep asking.
Yeah.
He's just going to keep asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Look, thank you very much. Thanks for spending your evening with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed Sloe Gin. We've got an amazing liqueur tasting tomorrow, and honestly, you are going to find some gems tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Cool. Excellent. See you later, guys. Have a good evening.